Hello, and welcome to Tea is Good, Books Are Better, the podcast where we drink tea and talk about books. I'm Raven.
And I'm Jess.
Did I get you this time?
I knew you were planning something.
Shit! How did you know? Did I have a look in my eye?
Yeah.
First off, updates. What's new?
That's what's new.
Before we get into a Game of Thrones.
Please start.
Me? Okay. I guess the biggest piece of news that I have this week is that I quit my job.
Dang!
Yeah.
Poor Kay.
I wasn't happy there anymore. And my, old boss offered me a full-time position that, pays more.
Holy shit.
So I was like, real money? Okay.
Where are you working now?
Well, I don't want them to know.
Oh, shit.
I'll bleep it out.
Well, that's a pretty big store.
It
by
is. Yes. It's over there. It's just gonna be a whole series of beep, beep, beep. Yes. So we did go to Annie Revo. I guess that's another thing.
Did we talk about that?
I don't think so.
Was that recent?
That
was at the beginning of August. Annie Revo.
Damn. So that was your first anime convention, right?
Yeah.
How'd you like it?
I had lots of fun.
Yeah. We just walked around and kept looking at the same shit over and over, but it was still really fun.
I was having fun. And seeing all the different cosplayers coming in and leaving. There's so much new faces.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
There was a Hiccup and Astrid cosplay, which I really liked.
Those were fucking badass, especially Astrid's.
Yeah.
That one, whoa.
They were talking to some other person. I just kind of barged in. I was like, I want a picture.
They're so patient.
Yeah.
Saints.
I felt bad, but also, we waited, and they were talking for a while.
Yeah, they probably talked about how long it took to make it.
Probably. But it was a really good costume. Or cosplay. Another piece of update I have, I guess, is that my short story got rejected. Oh. Which is fine. I'm used to it. I've been rejected many times before.
Yeah.
The shitty part is that they never emailed me. I had to find out through Instagram when I saw that the magazine was already in the layout process. And I was like, okay, I guess that means they've chosen already. And what's so unprofessional about that is that they don't take simultaneous submissions, which means that you can't send the same story to other places once you've sent it to their magazine. Why? So basically they had a hold on my story and didn't tell me that they had not chosen it so I could send it elsewhere.
Damn.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah. Well, can you send it to other places now?
Well, I can now that I know, but if I hadn't been following them on Instagram, I'd fucking be waiting forever. I never got an email.
Never go back to them.
It was so dumb. I was choked. I don't care that they rejected it. That's fine. Just the fact that
disrespectful.
So disrespectful. No respect at all.
Rude.
Yeah, I was really unimpressed. So that's that.
Nice.
Did you have anything else? Anything at all? No?
Pull things out of my ass, but no.
Well, we went to a wedding. We can talk about that next time. Okay.
It's all right.
Right. What are we drinking today, Jess?
Some more rooibos tea.
Fake tea.
Rooibos.
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 Rooibos. Is this the same one or a different one?
It's the same one with clover honey.
I like it a lot.
The clover honey does a good job.
Wait, what's clover honey?
It's honey made from clover flowers.
Wait, how does that work?
The bees.
Oh, the bees get it. Okay, I thought...
Are put in a clover farm.
I thought
they
you
make
meant,
honey.
I thought you meant
from the clovers.
I thought you meant the clovers made the honey. I was like, how? Wow, you learn something new every day.
The bee.
Okay, I get it. All right. Let's get into it. Where did we leave off our characters last time? Jessica?
Oh, shit. Just to tell every single one?
Yes. All 18 of them.
I think we left on a Tyrion chapter.
That sounds right.
Where he was discussing with Jaime Bran's survival.
Yeah, saying that they think he'll live.
Yeah, that they think he's gonna live.
Yes.
Jaime's like, nah. And Tyrion's like, very interesting.
Oh. And Ned is going to be handed the king in King's Landing, and he's taking everyone with him except Robb and Rickon and Jon. Because Jon's going to the Wall.
Yeah. Bran is staying because he's in a coma.
And what's the last we heard from Kat? Nothing, right? From before Bran's accident?
Probably from before Bran's accident.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Oh, and we know that Cersei and Jaime are fucking and they're twins. So that's fun. That's it, right? Is that everyone? Oh, Dany. Duh. Where did we leave off Dany? Were they at the...
Jess met
They met.
Khal Drogo and he accepted her, I guess.
Right. And Viserys said that whole thing, right? About how
He
I
did
let him and his whole callus off. Fuck you.
He did the titty twister.
Yes. And like the arm squeeze and also fun.
Just intimidating her.
And she's 13.
13-year-old child. He's like, what, 22? He's
Yeah.
22. Jesus.
So super fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're on chapter 10, which is Jon, which is the one that I read last time that you didn't read. Because
No.
you thought that the prologue counted as a chapter.
I included the prologue as a chapter.
Alright. Okay. Chapter 10, Jon.
The chapters don't have numbers.
Well, I'm numbering them. It's Jon's last day in Winterfell before heading north to the Night's Watch. He hadn't been to visit Bran yet because Lady Stark hasn't left Bran's side, and Jon doesn't feel welcome when she's around. She has even been sleeping and eating there. But it's Jon's last day, so he has to visit Bran now in case he never sees him again. So Jon steps into the room with Ghost, and Lady Stark is, predictably, very unwelcoming. I want to call her Catelyn, but Jon's perspective of her is as Lady Stark. So
Yeah, so now you're stuck with Lady Stark.
I guess I'm gonna keep calling her that, yeah. She wants Jon to go away and threatens to call the guards, even. What the
Like,
fuck?
whoa.
But Jon gets pissed. He tells her to go ahead and call the guards. There's nothing she can do to stop him saying goodbye to Bran.
Grows a spine?
Yeah, wow. Well done, Jon. So Jon approaches the bed and says his goodbyes, all while crying. Bran is severely underweight and doesn't look like himself. Obviously, that would be very emotional for anyone if that was your sibling. So Jon tells his comatose brother that he's leaving for the Wall, kisses him goodbye, and then Lady Stark says that she had wanted Bran to stay here with her instead of going south with Ned. She says, kind of talking into the air rather than talking directly to Jon, that she had prayed for Ned to change his mind, and that it seems like her prayers have been answered, which is really dark.
Yeah.
And sounds like she's blaming herself for what happened to Bran.
Yeah.
Jon seems to feel the same way, because he tells her that it's not her fault, and then she snaps and says, "I don't need your absolution, bastard." Oh my god, she is so much crueler to him in the book than in the show.
Yeah.
Dude, she just, like, didn't really pay much attention to him in the show.
Yeah, she kind of just ignored him.
Just kind of ignored him, which is, like, cruel in itself. But this is, like, bruh.
Harsh.
Yeah. She's, like, not even trying to hide how much she hates him.
Mm-mm.
That's fucked up.
Yup.
It's not like it's his fucking choice.
Right.
He didn't make Ned cheat on her.
No.
God damn it.
Damn.
So, Jon says a final goodbye to Bran and heads for the door, but just before he leaves, Lady Stark calls him by his name for the first time ever. So Jon's like, turning around, he's like, oh my, what's this gonna be? And then she tells him it should have been him.
What?
Oh my god! What a fucking bitch! Holy shit. I was like gaping at the pages of my book as I was reading this. Like,
rude?
She needs to grow the fuck up, seriously.
Right? Bruh.
Catelyn is officially on my shit list. Her and Viserys.
Beside Viserys.
Yeah, Cat and Viserys on the same list.
Damn.
Okay. Gotta sniff.
Yeah.
Do you remember how Dad used to always, like, scream at us every time we would sniffle?
Yeah. Yup. Yeah, I can't do it to this day now.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he would get so offended.
Like, he would tell us to blow our nose, but, like, if you have a cold and you blow your nose, it doesn't fucking matter.
It
You're
keeps
still
coming.
leaking.
And then it gets to the part where your nostrils get chafed.
Yeah. If you keep blowing it and digging out the snot.
Yeah, and it fucking hurts.
Yeah.
It's the point where, just sniffling is the best way to go.
Yeah, and also it's just faster and it doesn't waste tissue. Right?
I can see us getting punished for wasting tissue as well.
We like go through a whole
I remember
box.
hoarding like one piece of tissue for like so long.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah. I used to do that a lot.
Wow. I remember
I
always
have pockets full of like crumpled tissues that I have to reuse.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Weird.
Mm-hmm. They didn't want us wasting them, but they also didn't want us to sniffle.
Our parents. What the fuck, dude?
What do you want us to do?
The other day I was thinking about something. I remember something so damaging that they did. I remember one time I was like singing a song. I think it was Avril Lavigne or something.
Okay.
And I like hit this note for the first time that I'd never hit before, and I was so proud of myself. And so I like went around to Dad and I was like, Dad, I can sing like Avril Lavigne. I was like 11 and like super innocent or whatever. And he laughed at me and he was like, if you could sing like Avril Lavigne, you would be making us money right now. And from then on, didn't sing.
Wow. Who the fuck says that to a kid?
Right? He literally crushed a passion of mine, a growing passion.
Like, why not, nurture that?
Right? You like even
Who
if you
even thinks about that?
Yeah. Even if you don't think I can sing like well, obviously I couldn't. I was 11.
Yeah, but encouraging that.
But you don't
You
say
were a good singer as a kid. Bruh.
That's really sweet of you.
You were. I always thought you were.
Oh, I remember one time I was... Well, this makes sense, but I remember one time I was singing while we were in bed, and we shared a room. And we had bunk beds, and I was singing while we were, like, going to sleep. And you screamed at the top of your lungs. Do you remember that?
Like, I don't know if you had your earplugs in or something, because I was telling you, I want to sleep. Stop. And I was like, okay, if you don't stop, I'll scream.
But, okay, you know how in books, how it says... Like, something spooky happens, then there's a description of the main character that says, his blood ran cold, or something like that. That's literally what I felt. I felt my whole body turn to ice when you screamed like that. Because I had no idea what was happening. I was like, what the fuck happened? I thought you were being murdered up there.
You remember when we were playing and we heard Eric screaming on top of his lungs, and he was like, we thought he hurt himself bad. And he comes running down bawling and a rat fell on his head. Oh my god. From a ceiling tile.
Oh shit. How could I have forgotten that? For context, Eric slept in the attic.
Yeah.
And like the roof was made of tiles. And like one of them fell loose because a rat like was stomping on it or something.
Like a big fat mofo. And it fell on he's like a small child. He's screaming at the top of his lungs.
Oh my god. But anyway, back to the singing stuff. Like, I remember after that, Mom would hear me, like, here and there. And she, like, wanted me to join the church choir and, like, do singing stuff. But I, like, from then on, I was like, nope, I'm not singing in front of anyone ever.
Yeah.
Ever again.
Bruh.
And it isn't until recently that I've started gaining, like, some confidence in my voice again and, like, actually singing in front of people.
Well, I hope you're doing good. And singing really loud.
Well, I don't want to annoy people, but yeah, so, moral of the story, don't crush your kids' passions.
Damn.
I might have actually got into singing and shit, you know, if not for my lovely father. Anyway, moving on. No more trudging up childhood trauma. Jon heads down into the courtyard where he comes across Robb, surrounded by people running around and wagons being filled. Basically, people prepping for Ned and everyone to leave.
Everyone's leaving.
Basically, everyone's leaving, yeah. They have a brief conversation, Robb and Jon, in which they talk briefly about Bran, and then they say goodbye. And Robb is a sweetheart to Jon. He's just so nice.
They love each other.
They love each other, yeah. But at one point, Robb, like, asks how his mother was to him.
Yeah.
And Jon lies and says that she was very kind when he went to visit. Which seems to be simply to spare Robb any feelings of guilt on her behalf.
Yeah.
But also, like, Jon is too good for this world.
He's so kind.
He's so pure. Robb tells Jon that Uncle Benjen is looking for him, but Jon has one more goodbye to make. So he runs off to the armory, picks up a package, and heads to Arya's room. Nymeria, Arya's direwolf, seems very well trained. She's fetching stuff for Arya to pack and guarding the door when Arya commands her, and so on.
Isn't that cute compared to, like, the episode? Like, she's trying to get Nymeria to help, and Nymeria is just sitting there. But in the book, Nymeria is helping.
There is a point later on in the book, though, when Nymeria isn't as obedient.
Yeah.
Which is, like, it kind of shows the progression of the training. Like, when Nymeria can do some things, but, like, not all things yet.
I feel like Nymeria is a lot like Arya.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, just, like, wild and...
Absolutely. Will choose to obey when she wants to obey.
Yeah, exactly.
So, when Jon walks in, Arya jumps up to give Jon a hug, and then Jon gives her the package, which is an adorably skinny sword. Arya comments on its strange look, because she had only ever really seen, like, what do you call those swords?
Broadswords?
Yeah. And Jon explains that the bravos of Pentos and Myr use swords like these. It's no good for hacking someone's head off, but it can poke several holes in a man. And Arya is delighted. Jon's first lesson to her is, stick them with the pointy end. Very cute. Arya smacks him, but they're super cute and they joke around a bit. Jon gives Arya some swordsmanship advice, and they both agree that telling Sansa would be a bad idea. Then Jon has to go, and Arya's about to cry, so they hug and kiss, a sisterly kiss, just before Jon leaves. You, like, looked up when I said kiss. You're like, I don't remember this. He tells Arya that all good swords have a name, and this one is named after her very favorite thing. Needle. I had no idea this is where the name Needle came from.
What? I knew it was from...
Does it explain that in the show?
I don't know, but I always figured it was from her... How much she fucking hates sewing. It's her needle. Sansa has her needles. This one is mine. This is what she says in the show.
That's awesome. I clearly don't pay enough attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. I love that. Arya hates needlework, so she gets a sword instead named Needle. Amazing.
Amazing.
And that's the end of chapter 10.
Yay.
Did you have anything I missed?
Papa's helping her pack. Jon named the sword.
Yes, Jon did name the sword.
Jon named the sword. That rooibos tea.
That is good. Tastes like crack.
You know what crack tastes like? Doesn't
No.
it taste like paint thinner?
Does it?
You know, cocaine smells like that.
Oh.
Apparently.
I don't know anything about crack or cocaine. Allegedly.
I think crack and cocaine are the same, but crystallized. Crack cocaine?
Crack cocaine is a thing? Okay, so I see how it is. All crack is cocaine, but not all cocaine is crack.
Oh!
Okay. Chapter 11 is Daenerys. The night Dany is sold to Khal Drogo, Ser Jorah Mormont offers his sword to Viserys, who eagerly accepts. Drogo had left his manse to join his Khalasar outside the walls of Pentos, and had given the estate over to Dany and Viserys until the wedding. So I looked up the word manse, because I kept reading it, and I was like, okay, I know this is some type of home, but what the fuck is it? Today, it refers to a house occupied by a minister of the Presbyterian Church, specifically. But its informal, archaic use is just as any person's house or home, so...
So a house.
It's just a house or home.
Okay.
One evening at the manse, Illyrio says that Drogo has promised Viserys a crown, but Viserys is impatient and wants to know when. Of course he is. Illyrio explains that Drogo will want to wed Dany first, make his wedding procession across the plains, and present her to the Dosh Khaleen. Not sure what this is, it doesn't explain it. Present her to the Dosh Khaleen at Vaes Dothrak. Not sure what this is either. Could be a place. Do you know what these are? You're nodding slowly.
Yeah.
Should I know what these are?
It's in the show.
I haven't watched the first season in like a bajillion years. Alright? Literally, how old was I when I watched
season 2 and she goes back?
She goes back in the 7th season.
Like, I think, isn't she like kidnapped when Drogo takes her away by the Khalasar and brought back to the Dosh Khaleen with all the single ladies whose husbands died and they're stuck there now forever.
That's what that is?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, no spoilies. We'll find
Okay.
out. Then perhaps after that, they will head to Westeros if the omens favor war. Mm-hmm. Viserys is pissed. Ser Jorah encourages Viserys to be patient, saying that a lesser man may beg a favor from the Khal, but must never presume to berate him. Viserys snaps that he is no lesser man, and the dragon does not beg. God, him calling himself the dragon all the time is just... It's like... Honestly, it's gross.
He's a tiny little dude. I find me intimidating.
Yeah, especially if you imagine the guy from the show. He's just not scary.
Skinny guy.
I could kick his ass. This all happens in front of Dany, and she thinks to herself that there are no more dragons, but doesn't dare to say anything aloud. And that night, she dreams of a dragon. She dreams that Viserys is beating her. Fun. Screaming that she woke the dragon, and her thighs are slick with blood. Huh. Curious. Although if you think about it, not curious at all.
I don't want to think about it.
Then suddenly Viserys is gone, and there are flames and smoke everywhere, and there's a motherfucking dragon standing over her. It looks at her, and she wakes up terrified. She had never been so afraid until the day of her wedding. Then I put a little sad face emoji in my notes. Oh, poor Dany. Rewind. The ceremony begins at dawn. Dany and Khal Drogo are seated together at the top of a mighty ramp above the Dothraki, who are painted and half naked, and they're all eating and drinking. Viserys, Illyrio, and Ser Jorah are seated just below Dany, which is a place of high honor, just below the Khal's own blood riders. But it still isn't good enough for Viserys, who can't stand being beneath Dany and getting second pick of each dish. Viserys had told Dany to smile, so she's been smiling this whole time until her face aches and she starts, like, tearing up.
Oh my god.
It's so awful. She's so scared of him.
Jeez.
What a shithead.
Poor girl.
She doesn't eat anything because she feels like she might throw up.
She's so anxious.
Mm-hmm. And she feels really lonely up there. Khal Drogo's sitting next to her, but he doesn't speak any language that Dany knows. And he's like a huge 30-year-old dude with completely different customs. So.
Huge.
Yep.
Scary.
Yep. Some of the... Wait, what?
I was going to say a barbarian. Basically.
Kinda. Some of the Dothraki warriors begin fighting over the women dancing for the Khal. They're mounting them right there in front of everyone, and then battling to the death. Illyrio had warned Dany earlier that the Dothraki mate like animals, and that a Dothraki wedding without at least 3 deaths is deemed a dull affair. A dozen men die before the night is over, and Dany thinks her wedding must be especially blessed. /S. She grows more and more scared. The Dothraki are strange and monstrous, and seem more like beasts than men, and she's afraid of what Viserys might do if she fails him. But mostly she's afraid of the consummation that she knows is coming. Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah.
She tries to comfort herself by telling herself she's the blood of the dragon. At last, when the sun is going down, Drogo stands and pulls Dany to her feet, and she knows it's time for her bride gifts. Viserys gifts her with 3 handmaids, though Dany knows that they had cost him nothing. They likely were provided by Illyrio. And just a reminder, Illyrio's the magister that they had been staying with this whole time in Pentos. Viserys tells her that one will teach her riding, another will teach her the Dothraki tongue, and the last will instruct her in the womanly arts of love. Thanks for the gift, Viserys. Of sex lessons.
Gross.
Jorah gives her a stack of old books, histories and songs of the 7 kingdoms, which Dany is genuinely grateful for. Illyrio's gift is a chest filled with fine cloths and 3 huge eggs, each different from the others. One is deep green with burnished bronze flecks. One is a pale cream streaked with gold, and the last is black with scarlet ripples and swirls. Illyrio explains that they are dragon's eggs. The eons have turned them to stone, but they will always be beautiful. Dany is shooketh. Many more beautiful gifts come from the other Dothraki, so many that Dany can't imagine what she will do with all of it. It's more than she could ever want or use. Lastly, Khal Drogo brings forth an incredibly beautiful young horse. Drogo says something that Illyrio translates. Silver for the silver of your hair, because the horse is a light grey color.
Mm-hmm.
Drogo lifts her onto the horse. She doesn't really know what to do, so Jorah encourages her to just take the reins and ride, and she doesn't have to go far. So Dany takes the horse for a short, exciting ride that actually leaves the Dothraki, laughing, because she, jumps over a fire pit, and she gets excited.
Gallops around.
Yeah, gallops around. And that's the first time Dany forgets to be afraid for a moment. Afterwards, she tells Illyrio to tell Drogo he has given her the wind, which makes Drogo smile for the first time. Ooh. As Drogo gets his own horse, Viserys lovingly sinks his nails into Dany's leg.
Jesus Christ.
And orders her to please him being Drogo, lest she wake the dragon as it has never woken before. I wrote in here, fuck you, Viserys. Fuck you. So Dany immediately feels shitty again, and she and Drogo ride off. They stop at a grassy place beside a small stream, and Drogo takes her off the horse. Dany begins to cry, to which Drogo says no, and he wipes away her tears.
No.
She is confused, thinking he speaks the common tongue, but it soon becomes clear that the only word he knows is no. Drogo is surprisingly gentle. They start by undoing his braid, and then he undresses her, and there's actually quite a lot of foreplay.
It's actually really sweet.
I was shocked.
He was so gentle.
Yeah, I mean, it's still weird because she's 13, but
at that time...
It was medieval times.
But
compared to the show...
He
strips her naked and bends her over in the show.
Yeah. But this, he was actually really nice. I was like, this is nice.
Yeah. Dany ends up wanting it before any actual penetration happens.
Yeah, it's she mentions that her thighs are wet.
And she actually says yes to him.
Yeah.
So, consent?
Consent.
I guess, that's good. Obviously, she's still only 13, but medieval times.
That's still the most consent you can get, I guess.
Yeah. So, there's no actual
Hard
sex
yes.
scene. Yes. And it just ends with Drogo slipping a finger in. Just slipping in a little finger.
Just slipping in a finger.
Just slipping a little finger. And
probably not very little.
Probably
but...
not a little bigger. That's the end of this chapter. I'm really enjoying Daenerys' chapter so far.
Me too.
I love how, even though she's not really ever in control, her mind is still always working.
Yeah, like she's like very aware of her surroundings, constantly thinking.
Yes. And
very
like
smart.
I love the sass she gets towards Viserys in her head. But I still love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that to come out of her later.
Oh!
Hashtag spoilers.
I noticed during the wedding, they were drinking fermented horse's milk.
Puts my tea back
I think
down.
I remember learning that Genghis Khan and his troop used to drink that shit. Ooh. And I was like, ooh.
Why?
Ooh.
Just
They
ew.
have it and they want to get drunk, but
Can't you just get some grapes?
Any sort of like that sounds
For fuck's
collect
sake.
You live in grasslands, collect some barley, make beer. Fermented milk.
Damn. Maybe it's just cheaper. I guess there's less of a
they have
process.
so much horses, I guess. And they drink the
exactly.
milk anyways, might as well start fermenting them. But could you imagine hot fermented I just made her gag.
I had tea in my mouth.
I also noticed that the last time we did Dany's chapter that I got Khal Drogo's Blood Riders wrong.
That's okay.
Yeah, I have them. Hago, Kaholo, and Kotho.
So there's only 3 of them?
Yeah, it's 3 of them.
Okay.
Today.
So on the ramp that they had, it goes Dany and Drogo, and then the Blood Riders right underneath, and then Viserys, Illyrio, and Jorah under them. I see. Okay, chapter 12. Chapter 12, Eddard. Speaking of Eddard. Eddard.
Eddard?
Eddard.
Eddard.
I can't stop saying Eddard. It's just fun to say. Eddard. You say it now.
Eddard?
I can't even say it right anymore.
Eddard.
Eddard.
Let's call him Ned.
Eddard. Eddard. Okay, I was at a party last week, and I don't know how it came up, but people started talking about Ned Stark. And someone was like, what is Ned short for? And someone else was like, Neddard.
Don't you mean Nedard?
I was literally like, I was like, it's Eddard.
You're wrong.
It's Eddard. And then they started like looking it up, and I was like, bitch, just fucking trust me. I swear to God, I'm reading it right now.
Like, Ned and Eddard doesn't sound right.
I don't think that's right. This doesn't sound right. Okay, chapter 12, Eddard. Ned is awakened at the crack of dawn to join the king on a ride. They are traveling along the King's Road, so they've left Winterfell already. We jump forward a bit more. Mm-hmm. But they're still in the north, and Robert says that he wants to see Ned's country. So they gallop quite a distance away from camp, just the 2 of them. Robert complains about how Cersei's wheelhouse is so slow and creaky, and Ned jokes about helping him burn it, which Robert appreciates. Honestly, why did Robert bring Cersei at all?
Right?
Robert mentions again wanting to find some girls to warm their beds, but Ned politely declines until Robert brings up the common girl who birthed Ned's bastard, saying she must have been quite something to make Lord Eddard Stark forget his honor. Robert asks her name, and Ned says Wylla. Wylla, but then refuses to speak more on the subject, saying he had dishonored Catelyn and himself. Robert jokes that Ned is so prickly, he ought to take the hedgehog as his sigil. Which legit made me laugh when I read it. Ned points out barrows in the ground around them, I guess to change the subject. And these barrows are burial mounds. And Ned tells Robert they are the barrows of the first men. Robert then reveals the real reason why he brought Ned on this ride. Lord Varys, the king's master of whisperers, who also once served Aerys Targaryen, had sent a message in the night. Ned reads the letter and asks the source of the information, and Robert says the source is Ser Jorah Mormont. Huh. What is this? Ned remembers him. The Mormonts are an old house, but their lands are cold and poor, so Ser Jorah had tried to get some quick cash by selling poachers to a Tirashi slaver. Is Tirashi a place?
Yeah, I believe that's part of the, Bravos area.
Essos?
Yeah, Essos.
Okay, it's in Essos. But the Mormonts were bannermen to the Starks, so this activity had dishonored the North, and Ned had gone to Bear Island to confront Jorah, only to find that he had already sailed off to avoid the king's justice. And that was 5 years ago.
Yep, so he's only been in Essos for 5 years.
Yes. So, it turns out that Jorah is a spy for the crown, and has been passing information to Lord Varys in hopes of achieving a royal pardon for his crimes. So, Jorah wants to get back into Westeros without getting his head chopped off. Mm-hmm. But Ned wants Jorah dead. But Robert wants to know what Ned makes of the information in the letter, which is that Daenerys Targaryen has wed some Dothraki horse lord. Robert wishes he could send her a wedding gift of a good sharp knife and a bold man to wield it.
Isn't it Dothraki?
Dothraki. Yes. Technically, I guess it is Dothraki, because that is what George says. But I'm going to keep saying...
Dothraki.
Dothraki, probably. Ned remembers Robert's hatred of the Targaryens, and he remembers how he and Robert had disagreed when Tywin Lannister presented Robert with the corpses of Rhaegar's wife and children as a token of fealty.
It's fucked.
Yeah, Ned thought so too.
The kids were young.
Yeah, one was a fucking baby.
Mm-hmm.
Ned had called it murder to kill innocents, but Robert had called it war. Even Jon Arryn at the time couldn't calm Robert's rage. Ned and Robert had fallen out for a while after that. It was the death of Lyanna, Ned's sister and Robert's betrothed, that had brought them back together in a shared grief. And wow, did I not know all this. I love learning about how things went down during that time. So interesting.
Does that mean that What's-Her-Face and the kids died before Rhaegar? Or did Lyanna die well after Rhaegar was killed by Robert?
I think she died after Rhaegar. That's how I'm understanding it. Like, possibly even after Aerys had died.
Mm-hmm.
Aerys being the Mad King.
Yeah, because I think once they got Aerys, they ransacked and it wiped out all the Targaryens there, so as soon as Aerys was dead, so was everyone else in the castle.
Yeah.
But Rhaegar wasn't in the castle.
He was outside on the Trident.
Later. So, I want a timeline of events.
Right? So, again, Ned tries to tell Robert that Daenerys is just a child, but Robert says she will soon spread her legs and start breeding more dragon spawn. You don't know how soon you is right, Robert.
Hey.
When Ned continues to try to convince him that the murder of children is unspeakable, Robert retaliates by bringing up how Ned's family had been killed, and he asks Ned how many times he believes Rhaegar raped Lyanna. So now we know what Rhaegar allegedly did to Lyanna, though we still don't know how she ended up.
Yeah, he kidnapped her and raped her, apparently?
Yeah, I guess.
That's the story. And then she died.
But we don't know any of the details yet. Robert finishes by saying he will kill every Targaryen he can get his hands on. The king worries about the Dothraki's army, but Ned says that they have no ships, and they hate and fear the open sea. He doesn't believe they will cross the narrow sea to get to Westeros. But Robert is unconvinced. He thinks they could get ships in one of the free cities, and that the many houses that fought for the Targaryens in the war will join the beggar king if he shows up. We don't yet know which houses these are, correct?
I think, for sure, one is Dorne.
Oh, the people of Dorne? Possibly. I think we do find one out later on, actually, so yeah, we'll get to that. Ned says the beggar king will not cross, especially once Robert chooses a new Warden of the East. Robert basically rolls his eyes, thinking that Ned is trying to convince him to name Robert Arryn the Warden of the East again. But Ned actually suggests Stannis, Robert's younger brother. But it turns out Robert has already promised the position to Jaime Lannister. Ned is unhappy with a king killer being Warden of the East, and also isn't pleased that this would mean the Lannisters would control half the king's armies, because Tywin Lannister, Jaime and Cersei's father, is Warden of the West. But Ned keeps these concerns to himself. He does say that Jaime will succeed Tywin someday, which will leave him as both Warden of the East and West, and no one man should hold that much power. But Robert doesn't think Tywin is going anywhere anytime soon. So Ned moves on to his next plan of attack. He voices his concern about Jaime Lannister being untrustworthy, since he was once sworn to protect Aerys Targaryen, the previous king, but was the one who ended up killing him. But Robert remains stubborn, so Ned decides it is time he reveals the truth to the king. He tells Robert that at the Trident, when Robert was dealing with a wound from Rhaegar, after Rhaegar was dead, I suppose, the remaining Targaryen army had fled back to King's Landing. Ned and his men had followed. Aerys was in the Red Keep with his loyalists, and Ned had expected to find the gates closed to them. However, Ned had found that the city had been taken by Lannister men. Their lion sigil was flying over the ramparts, not the crowned stag of Baratheon, the king's house. I was like, ooh, this thing's getting juicy. So the Lannisters had taken the city by treachery. During the war, the Lannisters had ignored calls to arms from both sides for close to a year, so Aerys Targaryen must have thought his prayers were answered when they showed up at the gates of King's Landing with an army, professing loyalty. Aerys had opened the gates, so it seems like the second the Lannisters got in, they took the city for themselves, rather than for the Baratheons.
I think they just took the city from the Targaryens.
Okay, so...
Because they knew that they weren't winning the war anymore. It's time to switch sides.
And they just wanted to, like, get on Robert's good side?
Yeah, so like they saw he was winning. They're like, I don't want to fight him. Who's the weaker one to take on?
But they also could have stayed out of it completely. So it makes me wonder.
Because I think Tywin likes being in power.
Yeah. So he wanted to...
So he wants to, like,
get in Robert's
be the guy who...
Once he saw he was winning, yeah. Okay. So Ned thinks that this was a treacherous way to win the throne, but Robert says it's no less than the Targaryens deserved. So Ned tells him that he found Aerys dead on the floor when he had entered the throne room. The room was filled with Lannisters, and Jaime Lannister was sitting on the Iron Throne. Ned had stared at Jaime in silence until Jaime stood, laughed, and said he was only keeping it warm for Robert. This just makes Robert laugh. He doesn't think it was a big deal that Jaime sat on his throne for a second. Mm-hmm. I guess Ned thinks there was more going on than a tired lad taking a rest.
Maybe it's dishonorable to sit on the Iron Throne if you're not king?
I suppose, but I mean, technically Robert hadn't taken the throne yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it does imply that, like, he feels some possession towards some ownership of the throne if he's sitting on it. Also turns out that Jaime was only 17 at the time.
Man, I was like, what?
Bruh, what? Yeah.
You was 17?
And that was 13 years ago? So that makes Jaime 30 now?
Isn't he 32? That's my math. I thought it was 15 years ago.
I thought it was 13.
Okay.
Whatever. He's around 30 now.
He's young. Doesn't that mean Cersei was 17?
Yes.
I guess when she married...
They are twins.
Rob?
She would have married him shortly after that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't she an old bride then?
Huh.
Isn't that old?
Robert is done talking, so he starts riding back to camp. Ned is speechless, and he thinks that he is no Jon Arryn and doesn't have the ability to advise the king. Robert simply won't listen to him. He will do what he wants, no matter what Ned says. Ned thinks to himself that he belongs in Winterfell with Catelyn and with Bran, but then he also thinks that a man can't always be where he belongs, so he rides off after the king. And that's the end of this chapter. Lots of backstory in this one. We get a bit more of an understanding of Robert's hatred of Targaryens and Ned's distrust of Lannisters.
Mm-hmm. I think that's basically what this chapter did.
Yeah. More character expanding. Oh, and we also learned that Jorah's double-crossing the Targaryens.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
God damn you, slime.
Oh, Jorah. Tisk tisk.
Tisk.
I mean, he can shit all over Viserys for all I care. Chapter 13.
Chapter Tyrion. Tyrion realizes that the North is much bigger than his maps have let on.
Maps usually don't do it justice. Considering it's a drawing on a piece of paper.
By the third day, the farmlands have given way to heavy forests and flint hills. It was kind of interesting. Made me think. Like, is it like big, black, jagged rocks? Like,
possibly.
That's how I imagine flint hills. By the fifth day, the hills had turned into mountains.
Definitely more setting description that we're getting at the start of this chapter.
Yeah, I guess he's bored. Traveling with the brothers.
Yeah, taking some time to look around, I guess. Yeah.
The road veers into a dark forest called the Wolf's Wood. And at night, it comes alive with the howling of wolves. There are 8 of them. Tyrion and his 2 guards, Benjen, Jon, and 3 fresh mounts that were probably picked from the jails of Winterfell. I guess.
From the jails?
I guess. It didn't really explain who the 3 fresh mounts were. I'm like, are those criminal scum?
Are you talking about the...
Maybe. Who's in their party? In the Wolf's Wood, they meet up with another black brother, Yoren, who has a pair of rapers for the wall.
Fun.
Yeah. Yoren is described as having a twisted shoulder, a sour smell, and his hair and beard matted with grease and lice.
Sick.
He appears sinister and as tough as an old root.
I love that metaphor.
And as hard as stone.
I like that metaphor less.
Yeah.
Actually, it's technically a simile, I guess, but being tough as an old root.
I like that.
It's very unique. And
it's like twisted up and like...
Yeah. I'm not good with metaphors at all when it comes to writing them.
Is this in your mental bank?
Yeah, probably. But I do enjoy reading them, and I'm terrible at coming up with like new non-cliche ones.
Gosh.
Every time I read one that's like super unique and
nice,
still makes sense, I'm still like, or I'm always like, yes. Like, it's just, I love it. Like, eat it up.
Delicious. Ooh. Tyrion notices Jon is watching Yoren with an odd expression that kind of looks like dismay. Tyrion feels bad for Jon and thinks that he must have thought the wall was full of men like his uncle.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, because they've got rapers.
Some rapers.
But interestingly, they call them rapers rather than rapists?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe raper means he's not going to stop.
What?
I don't know. Rapist, raper. I feel like raper makes him sound like he's ongoing. I don't know.
I don't know either. I guess maybe it's just like an old-fashioned way of saying it.
I guess so.
But also, these 2 rapers are boys.
Boys.
They're like young.
I think they're like slightly older than Jon. Maybe 16.
Yeah.
So kids.
Gross.
Peasant kids.
Go on.
Benjen hadn't wanted Tyrion to tag along, and he tried to like put him off. Like, there's no inns, no beds for you. You don't want to come. Yeah, because he doesn't like Lannisters either.
Yeah.
As the rest of the Starks don't.
Indeed.
But Tyrion wants to go, and he gets what he wants. By the end of the first week, Tyrion's thighs were raw and his legs were cramped. But he didn't say anything because he doesn't want Benjen to know that he's uncomfortable.
Horse riding is pretty rough, even just for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. It sounds horrible, like all day.
For a week?
Like, probably even longer. Like, that sounds like the worst. Can you imagine your legs going numb and you can't do shit about it?
Yes, I can imagine that.
That's terrible.
And it's unpleasant.
It's getting cold. It's cold like he'd never experienced it. Even after packing his warmest clothes, the cold winds feel like knives. So Tyrion is pretty useless at setting camp, so he just drinks and reads while the other guys do it. Which he takes off, sits by himself. He's borrowed some books with Lord Eddard's permission from Winterfell, which he is excited about. Tyrion finds a spot just beyond camp and reads about dragon bones, which I thought was interesting. I wrote some shit.
Not dragon bones. Dragon bone.
Okay. Dragon bone.
Because I'm pretty
Singular.
sure it's different, yeah. Because dragon bones implies, like, a skeleton of a dragon.
Oh.
But dragon bone
as a material?
Is a material, yeah.
Okay. Dragon bone as a material. Which is black because of high iron content. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Strong as steel, yet light. Ooh.
Ooh.
And bows, as in a bow and arrow. Made from dragon bone are prized amongst Dothraki.
Yeah, this is like exposition on this material unique to Westeros that the reader would not know about prior unless they watched a show based on the book. But in 95, when this was written, it's something new to the reader, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
I was thinking it's new to me.
Yeah, we are getting information.
I was like, I didn't know the dragon shit was black.
But what I'm trying to get to is that this is like exposition on something through book reading. In a book. It doesn't give us too much information, which is good. Just like a taste. But it's interesting for me to read someone else, because I've done something similar in my own work. It's interesting to see it in someone else's work, for them to like exposition something or like explain something through a character reading a book. Am I making any sense at all? Because I feel like I'm talking like out of my ass.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, they do a bit of that in Harry Potter, for sure. Yeah, when doing it, it's just difficult to know how much information is too much.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like when it's your own writing and you're like, how much do they need to know right now? Where can I explain more of this later? Am I going to get a chance later to explain more of this? Do I have to get this all out right now?
Oh my gosh.
How do I, like, summarize this in a way that, it, like, makes sense, but, you know, gets all the info that I want? It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
You, like, sit back, you're like, holy shit.
It's a bit much.
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me that he was reading and we were learning together.
Yeah. Fun. Real fun this time.
Oh.
Go on.
So Tyrion remembers the first time he saw the dragon skulls at King's Landing, which I always imagined as white. Maybe because the show portrays them as white? I don't know.
They do.
But they're black!
They are black as fuck.
Which were black as onyx. And so smooth they shimmered in the light. Sounds gorgeous.
Sounds gorgeous.
The biggest skulls were Balerion, Meraxes, and Vhagar, which are over 3,000 years old.
Damn.
Bruh.
Damn.
Vhagar's skull was so big a horse could have ridden down its gullet, and Meraxes was even bigger. Balerion, the Black Dread, was the biggest and could have probably swallowed a mammoth whole.
Look at that little shocked face I drew.
What?
My mouth fell open. It's like, how big is this fucking dragon?
That was a monster. No wonder it was Balerion the Dread.
Do they just keep growing forever?
I guess so. Magic beings.
Until they die?
Until they die.
Damn.
It reminds me of turtles. Sea turtles. Yeah? Don't they keep growing until they die? Or like crocodiles?
I have no idea.
Alligators? Don't they keep growing until they die?
No clue.
Alright. Tyrion...
I am not a zoologist.
Tyrion had stood staring at Balerion's skull for so long, his torch burned low. He was preoccupied, trying to grasp the size of the dragon and imagining how it must have looked in flight. I can see myself doing that, seeing something that huge and be like, how big was this motherfucker?
Yeah.
Like, in its wings? It would have been huge if it had to fly. Bruh!
I'm writing a story that has dragons in it.
Ooh!
And I was thinking to myself as well, like, if there was a huge dragon, just enormous, what is, like, the first thing that you would, like, how would you sense it coming?
Vibrations
thing, right?
in the fucking air.
And I was like, yeah, would you feel it? Would you, like... But also, like, not just what is the actual first thing you would experience, but, like, what would be the creepiest thing that you would experience? And then I was like, a shadow. just like a massive shadow.
Raining
just covering
ash.
everything.
And you see
That's
it
cool,
raining
too.
ash and then darkness.
But I
But
was like,
I would
can
think
you
you would-
imagine if you're just like outside, just like churning butter or whatever you're doing? And then suddenly everything just goes black.
Ash starts raining. But I definitely think the thumping of the wings can be heard pretty far.
Probably, yeah. But if it's gliding, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Get
Oh,
that.
true.
But yeah,
Got me
I was
there.
like, the shadow.
The shadow.
And I was like, how can I use this?
It's fucking massive.
And I
Whoa.
don't use it.
Next. John pulls one of his thought. Why do you read so much? Hi, John.
Hey, John.
Tyrion.
How's it going, John? Long time no see, John.
Hi, cute.
Love you, John.
Doing good? Are you feeding well?
Are you feeding well?
Drinking water?
Staying hydrated, John.
Tyrion closes his book and says, "Look at me and tell me what you see." John's confused and asks, "Is this a trick?" "I see Tyrion Lannister. You."
Wow. Good job, John. Well done, John.
Gold star.
E plus, John.
Tyrion says, "You're remarkably polite for a bastard. What you see is a dwarf," and he explains that if he were born a peasant, he would have been left out to die or sold to slavers. But he is a noble, and he has his duties. He may never be able to wield a sword, but he can use his brain, and a mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Jon absorbs this silently and then asks what he's reading about. Tyrion tells him dragons, and Jon says that's useless, there's no more dragons. Pessimist.
Pessimist.
Tyrion,
So negative, John. You don't know there's no more dragons.
have some imagination, Jon. Tyrion confesses that he used to dream of having a dragon as a kid, that even a dwarf can look down on the world while sitting on a dragon's back.
Aww.
He even confesses that he would imagine his father burning or even his sister.
Damn.
Jon is shocked. He's all like, damn.
Damn.
And Tyrion says, "Don't look at me like that. I bet you've had similar dreams too." Jon's like, "No, I would never."
Jon is pure, Tyrion.
He's an angel. Tyrion says, "Even your father, who must have had good reasons to pack you off on the Night's Watch?" And Jon gets angry.
Jon asked for it, man.
"The Night's Watch is a noble calling."
I mean, it is, Jon. It
Tyrion
is.
laughs. "You're too smart to believe that. The Night's Watch is full of misfits and criminals rounded up to watch for grumpkins and snarks. But they don't exist, so the most dangerous part of being on the Night's Watch is freezing your balls off." "Stop it!" screams Jon, and he's tearing up a little. So Tyrion feels bad, takes a step forward to apologize, and out of nowhere, Ghost attacks and knocks him on his back. His book goes flying, and his mouth is filled with dirt and blood. Yuck.
What a wonderful mix.
He tries to stand, but his back spasms. He's stuck. Old man problem.
How old is Tyrion at this point?
Right?
He's the youngest.
He's younger than... He's probably 30.
He's
Maybe he's even 29.
Yeah, he's probably
Oh my
like 28.
God. What if he's in his 20s?
He is in his 20s, for sure.
Dude. He's young.
Damn.
Old man problem. "Help me!" And he reaches for Jon. Ghost is baring his teeth, but he doesn't make noises. "Ask me nicely," Jon says. And Tyrion crushes his anger. Even though he's humiliated, he's like, I should be very grateful for your kind assistance. And Jon picks him up and gives him his book. Jon jokes that Ghost must have thought you were a grumpkin, making Tyrion laugh. Tyrion pulls out his wine and offers some to Jon. Jon takes a drink and he's like, "It's true what you said about the Night's Watch, isn't it?" Tyrion nods and Jon says, "Then it is what it is."
Aww.
Which is pretty mature and sad.
Yeah.
They head back to camp, where Benjen was worried. about Jon. He's like, damn it, don't wander off like that. I thought the others had ya. It was the Grumpkins, Tyrion says. And Jon smiles at that, which Benjamin's like, what?
He's like, the fuck is happening?
Yeah. And they have delicious squirrel stew with bread and hard cheese.
Yum.
Sounds so good.
Jelly.
Tyrion passes around his wineskin, and everyone is chilling out. Tyrion's the last to retire, aside from Jon, who was the first on watch duty that night. Before he steps into his shelter, he sees Jon looking deep into the flames, which makes Tyrion feel a little sad.
Sad for him.
Going. Yeah. Makes him smile sadly at him.
Tyrion really feels for Jon.
Yeah. Tyrion's a good guy.
Yeah, he empathizes.
Good guy, Tyrion.
Obviously, he feels a connection with him. He feels like they're alike.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Part of a family, but not quite part of the family.
Right. They've both got their own characteristics, I guess, that set them on the outside from everyone else. But Jon and Tyrion are bonding, and it's cute.
I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At one point, Tyrion thinks... He's, like, looking at Jon and sees a lot of Ned in him.
Yeah.
He's like... He looks a lot
he
like
looks
his
like
daddy.
a Stark, yeah.
But yeah, and he thinks to himself, whoever his mother had been, she had left little of herself in her son.
Ironic.
I was like, ah!
Hey, no spoilers.
Yeah, but how clever must George have felt when he wrote that? Yeah. Dude, I would be super proud of myself if I came up with that. Just a little pat on the back. It's like, hell yeah. Nicely done. Keep it up. Yeah. Something I'm observing about Tyrion.
Yeah.
Is that he kind of seems to always be on one of the two extremes. He's either like all bullshit or no bullshit at all. Do you know what I mean? Like he's either always keeping it real or like...
or he's being
completely honest about everything or being completely sarcastic. There's no like in between. No. You know what I mean? He's never being like a little bit sarcastic.
One or the other.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite character?
My favorite character so far?
Yeah.
Of my characters?
Of any character. It doesn't have to be yours.
Like Jon.
Yeah, me too.
He's so sweet.
Yeah. And Dany. She just intrigues me.
Right? I'm so impressed with her.
I love that she's not even really... She's pretty passive at this point. She's not really making decisions as a character. She's kind of being forced around by other people.
Yeah.
Which is usually a recipe for a static, passive, underdeveloped character. But I don't know. Somehow
her thought process is
we get a lot of internalization from her, which is really successful in making her round and dynamic as a character.
She's very that's a person you're reading about. Like she seems very real.
Yeah. And that's what I think is so intriguing about her, is that she's being pushed around by everyone else around her, but you can tell that like this girl's going places.
Yeah.
This girl's going places.
Like, what's her story?
She just needs, she needs that little thing. That little thing that's just gonna...
Dothraki penis?
Bam! Dothraki penis. Oh, Lord. She's gonna take over the world. Anyway, no spoilers. Alright. That's it for this episode.
Yay!
If you want more of the podcast, please check out our Instagrams. The podcast Instagram is Tigbab Podcast, Tigbab. You can also follow us individually. Mine is Crimby, Jessica's is just.egan24. You can also find the Facebook page, Tigbab Podcast again, or Tea is Good, Books Are Better. If you search that, you should find it there. And please check out Baram Barami's YouTube channel. He made our jingle. He's super cool. He makes dope music. Please check out his channel. That's Bahram. Last name is spelled the same way with an I at the end. Yes, that's his real name. And then we also have a Patreon. please consider contributing. You would be helping us out a lot. We also have some fun tiers with different rewards as well, so you will be getting something in return for your contribution. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time, where we will get Sansa's first chapter.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh shit. All right. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
I forgot about that. I did it. Sansa's one of mine.